So next up, podcast listeners, Jeff Bezos is going to go into outer space on his own rocket ship that his own company has built. Only when you are a billionaire, 100 times over, can you afford to have your own company that builds rocket ships that take you to space and then safely back to Earth. Well, good for Jeff Bezos, first of all. But here's the story. There is a petition, and the petition is out, and they're saying, please don't return from space, Jeff Bezos. I can't make this stuff up. There is a petition, and they don't want Jeff Bezos to return from Earth. That's how much they don't like him. So more than 70,000 people have signed this petition to stop Jeff Bezos from returning to Earth after his trip to space next month. The petition to stop him from coming back to Earth has 70,000 signatures, as I said, and Bezos plans to enter space next month, just July, by the way, July 20th. And he will be on the first human flight of Blue Origin's New Shepard rocket, which I guess is a rocket of his company's, which is New Shepard, I guess, is the name of the rocket or the name of the company. No, the name of the company is Blue Origin. Blue Origin, that's his company. So we have ABC News reporting on this particular rocket trip of, rocket man Jeff Bezos. And here's the clip.
To the big question, who will join Jeff Bezos on his flight to space? The Amazon CEO revealing he's going to space on his own rocket ship in July. He's taking his brother, and he says he'll take another passenger. That extra window seat is now up for auction. Here's Victor Akendo.
Even for one of the richest people in the world, the stakes are high.
You see the Earth from space, it changes you.
Jeff Bezos announcing on Instagram he's flying next month in a rocket made by his company, Blue Origin.
It's a thing I've wanted to do all my life. It's an adventure. It's a big deal for me.
Bezos will be on board the first human flight of the 59-foot New Shepard rocket near the edge of space, 60 miles above Earth. Total flight time, a mere 11 minutes. 3 of them spent in zero gravity. No spacesuit required.
So, no space suit required. They're going to be, I guess, in orbit for 14 minutes or thereabouts, and then the rocket ship comes back to Earth and then lands safely, I guess.
So they're unprotected in this thing that looks like a giant penis. And my question is, when it comes back...
What looks like that? You mean the rocket ship?
The rocket ship.
The rocket ship. Well, let's take a picture. Well, actually, let's take a look at it. We're going to have our producer, Christopher Hopkins, put a picture of this up. So if you're listening, podcast listeners, you're not going to be able to see it. Well, you can imagine. But if you're watching YouTube, you will be able to see a picture of this particular rocket ship. It literally is the shape, it's got a phallic shape, right? Which you would expect because it's a rocket, but except that it actually is more human-like than ever.
It looks more like a tribute to Bill Clinton.
Well, Bill's one of the big advertisers on the side, and Jeff Bezos, of course, with the bald head, it's just perfect for him, right? Because most people think that he is what that rocket is, so...
I'm going to assume it's like other rockets that it starts to fall apart, and then upon entry, it's smaller than when it took off. So do we consider, is that shrinkage? Houston, we have shrinkage. I mean, that's what they're looking for, right?
So we have, this actually reminds me of Dr. Evil and Austin Powers. Remember when Dr. Evil had that rocket ship and he hops on the rocket ship, I think with Mr. Bigglesworth, his cat, and the cat like with no hair because it was cryogenically frozen or something like that. And so they get on this rocket ship and the rocket ship looks exactly like, Jeff Bezos' rocket ship. And Jeff Bezos is kind of like Dr. Evil because no one really likes the guy because he's kind of putting everybody out of business one at a time. So he is kind of the original Dr. Evil. But in this clip from the actual Austin Powers, Dr. Evil gets on the rocket ship that does look like, let's face it, a phallic symbol, and gets on it. And then the rest of the world is reporting like, oh my God, that looks like a, and of course, typical Austin Powers. We have that clip and here it is. That's him going into outer space, podcast listeners.
Colonel, you better take a look at this radar.
What is it, son?
I don't know, sir, but it looks like a giant
Dick!
Yeah?
Take a look out of starboard.
Oh my God, it looks like a huge...
Pecker!
Oh, yeah.
Wait, that's not a woodpecker. It looks like someone's...
Private!
We have reports of an unidentified flying object.
So those are all, because naturally you can't say certain things in movies unless you have an R rating. So
Well, that sounded like the Washington Post reporting on those.
yeah, it would have been a lot more accurate if it were. But Jeff Bezos is going on this rocket that looks just like an Austin Powers rocket with Dr. Evil getting on it. This big, and it just, I think it's really funny that how many people don't like this guy because, look, for better or for worse, and we can all be honest about this, there are things about Bezos's company which are game changing. I mean, he's done an amazing job with this company where it's real time, on demand stuff that you want. You just want it and you're going to get it like right away. Whatever stuff, you name it, it can be shipped through Amazon and delivered to you in some cases the next day, in some cases the same day. But he's also putting everybody out of business. And now he wants to put the other common carriers out of business. He wants to get into the actual plane and shipping business to put UPS and FedEx out of business. So this guy has made a lot of enemies and he employs a lot of people who are really low wage workers in dead end jobs. But at least they do have jobs. As a conservative, we're happy they do have jobs, but it's not a future that I think any of us really want to see on a widespread scale. What do you think?
The end game of monopoly is very concerning, and that's what we're all concerned about. But I agree with you. The way that company is run at times, it's remarkable. They really don't own anything. Amazon doesn't own the products. Amazon doesn't own any of the trucks on the road. It doesn't own it. It's basically, it's the Uber of the rest of the products out there is what it really is. It doesn't own any of it. My question on going back to the clip was, he's got to know what this space shuttle looks like, correct? I mean, it's not like, it looks like something, but I can't think of what exactly it is. But it's almost like he's giving it to the rest of the world. You know what? You guys think I'm a Peter or whatever she called, a pecker.
Yes.
Guess what? I'm going to outer space and something that looks like a pecker. What do you think about that?
She's talking about a woodpecker on there. And she's like, I haven't seen a woodpecker like that, and it's like, But look, this is funny because for some reason in the rocket ship business, this seems to be a thing, right? But with Bezos, he really went over the top. I mean,
maybe he identifies as a female shuttle.
Yeah, because his brother's going to go on it with him. And
but not his ex-wife, right?
But not
no.
Yeah, well, you might want to send her on one, and except that one doesn't coming back. And
she's trying to check in 24 hours before the flight.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have to have a COVID test?
Yeah, that's right.
Requires a COVID test.
You need a COVID passport once you break the Earth.
Passport,
once you break the Earth's crust, you gotta.
So if you want to sign the petition, you can go online. It says, "Please don't return from space, Jeff Bezos." You can sign that. 70,000 people have signed this. Probably mostly Amazon employees. I wouldn't be surprised. It's how much he's supposed to step down from the company too. In like 2 months. My understanding is he steps down. Either he's stepping down before space or after he comes back. I'm not really sure, but it's very soon.
Can you run the company from outer space?
I mean, I would assume so. I don't know what the broadband connection is like up there, but we see reports all the time on like Fox News where they're talking about UFOs sightings, and I've always thought those were probably Amazon drones.
Can you imagine what some of the some of the Martians might think of us if Bezos is like the first guy they come across and he's coming out there in his big penis-shaped shuttle, and they meet this guy, and they're like, "We don't want to go there."
Well,
maybe they'll stop showing up on Earth then.
Well, he does look like he's from the future with that nice haircut that he has. And,
it's really strange to me because I remember
steroid arms.
He was on Oprah years ago, and like he just looked very different. Then he looked like a normal guy, hair and all that stuff. It's not his fault, I guess, that he's losing his hair, but he looked like a normal guy years ago on Oprah, and he was just talking about this vision he had.
Now he looks like a Bond supervillain. Yeah. And now he created himself a spaceship to go along with it.
Literally Dr. Evil. It's so true. I mean, he looks just like him. His whole life is just formed around Dr. Evil. The only thing would be funnier.
$1 million.
You know what?
I know if he's got a hairless cat.
So guys, let's do this pact, okay?
Can you buy that on Amazon?
Mr.
Bigglesworth?
So Chris, so you're getting what I'm putting down here. So get this. We're gonna have our producer, podcast listeners, Christopher Hopkins. We're going to Mark and the Millennials start a petition today. A petition to allow Mr. Bigglesworth to go with Jeff Bezos into outer space. Let's start that petition. Would you do it? Would you set that up and change.org or whatever the thing is we can do? Would you do that? But it's got to be for Mark and the Millennials because we want to be able to produce this and push out the podcast.
What about Mini-Me? Can Mini-Me go as well?
Oh, my God.